Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Have the Race Gone for round 4 of the VSRS Grand Prix Series. It is the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're in Sao Paulo in the Brazilian sun between the lakes. It is in Portuguese to my best of understandings. I could very well be wrong indeed. But we are in for a hell of a race. Or 2 races, should I be correct, because it is, of course, the short sprint race, of course, preceded by qualifying, as we're having the stock checks happening right about now. Let's have a look at the calendar. We have a bit of starting music there in the background, and by the way, Peace, Sparks, Tinos, Dawson, welcome lads. Richard, good to have you along. Playlister is here for 25 chat points. LJ Speed, it is a pleasure. So nice to see all of you. I am here by myself today, so I'll try to carry the weight as best as I can. Someone was rolling backwards at the stock check here. It doesn't seem like anyone's stuck. As I say that. Yes. So that's why we have stock checks. But as you can see, we are at Interlagos. And for the sprint race, both tires and fuel times 4, it's going to be 11 laps of racing. And the feature race, 5 times tires, 4 times fuel. So heavy on tire wear, indeed, is what we're going to see today for this race. 30 laps of racing on that occasion. So it's going to be a good one tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it. Hopping on to what is also quite important for me, at least, to check out is the standings. And any returning viewers will be quite familiar with the names atop this list, and it is generally a very, very, very spicy series indeed. So many of these names are within the top 0.5%, I'd like to say, of GT Sport players. It is really the cream of the crop, or at least a part of it, that we've got here racing. And Chris for VLX Olympic, they have been so strong, although the first chinks in the armor of Olympic appeared last week at Saint Croix. We had a bad feature race indeed, and that you can see with those 9 points picked up. Chris, on the other hand, except for on round 1 where he picked up on his standards a relatively meager 29 points, has been on an absolute roll. He's taken off at the head of the standings, and the Dane is looking unstoppable so far. Sadly, no Fons tonight, because Fons has been hit by some power surges in his area where he resides in Spain, which means that we have not really been able to, or he hasn't been able to get like proper power. He told me that he was hardly even able to cook. So a big shame that I don't have Fons with me tonight. And I was about to say a big shame that Finn is racing. Of course, it's not a big shame to have Finn racing, but he's not here in the booth with me. So alone I am. That gives me plenty of opportunity to talk. And in the end, that's something I like to do. But it's not all bad in the end. And let's see some pictures of the drivers warming up. The aforementioned Finn and Flopsy rejoining, hopefully this time without any trouble. For R70, of course, here yet again, it's Race Royce, the 21 Bitcoin car. Doesn't look perfect for Flopsy, does it now? That's a bit of a shame. Let's hope he'll be able to get a stable connection going to the lobby, and we can be without troubles. Oh, that is a new one. People's building cam, staircase cam. Oh, this pans too quickly. Royce, he should have been in the pit for a moment more there. It would have been perfect. But alas, it was not to be. But I have some news on, well, for me personally, kind of big, actually, really big news. Great news indeed, that I'm kind of psyched to share with you all. So I applied for a job as a commentator on the YouTube channel Simracing World, which is a pretty big iRacing league, 1,400 members. I had my interview with Ian, who's the head of things over at SRW, and he damn hired me, so I am going to be starting up there in the nearest future, and of course I will be keeping you posted, and I do hope you'll be hopping over there with me to check it out. It's gonna be such a cool thing. I'm really looking forward to hopping over and commentating on some good, proper league racing in iRacing and the boys that are in there. The special events they do, and in the leagues as well. They have some top quality drivers in there as well, real race drivers and so on. So I am thoroughly excited about that. I've been like bouncing around all day, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks, Richard. So indeed, I think that is absolutely awesome, and I just can't wait to get going with that. Of course, that might mean that I have a little less time to do stuff here on Half the Race Gone. We'll have to see just how that figures out in the end, although I think I can promise you all that by no means I'm gonna stop doing stuff here. Race Royce has picked up a practice penalty here. It's time for a final stock check in a moment. That moment being now. We have 12 cars on the grid tonight, so an interesting one indeed. An interesting one. But I never got around to mentioning the very close midfield runnings, by the way. But as you can see, the VLX drivers atop the standings quite clear off. But Ryan for Vanquish, TX3 is there with Joni, THR with Flopsy, all within 10 points of one another. Quinton, now by the way, having signed for Euromaster Esports, and also worth pointing out, Ryan, who former TSR driver, now former Phoenix Esports, which is now called Phoenix 7, which is not gonna be as big of a change for me as Volex to VLX. I'm not saying Volex anymore, but never mind that. But Ryan, now a part of Vanquish Esports, and sure they're gonna make good use of his talents, and same goes for Quinton over at Euromaster. So excited to touch on those news as well. Oh, I'm actually showing you pictures from Stock Check. That's not good. We want to leave a good impression of the drivers and what they're doing here. So, and by the way, an interesting calendar that has been laid down. I think the next race at Sardinia, I've never seen any high downforce cars go about at Sardinia really. So I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch. It does make for excellent racing, long straights, tight corners, and yet a more old school feel to it than any modern day Tilke circuit you could possibly imagine. Suzuka is a really classic track, especially for these Japanese open wheelers, the Super Formula cars. The same goes for the final round at Fuji, and I think, well, Monza very much must stop by for this kind of series. So I'll try to keep it going with the talking for a few more minutes, as we've been hit by even more people with connectivity issues, people not seeing one another, and a guy stuck on grid in the first stock check. We had the second one. That went well, and now Olympics game froze, so it's one of those nights. A single filer has put it in chat here. I very much think so. It is in the lobby chat in the PS. So I feel like we get to mention upon this a little too often, to be honest. It's a bit of a shame. By the way, Ethan, what a pleasure to have you along. It's always nice. F1 at home. Guess that's what we're doing here. So for TX3, today in the good old, or this is actually the sort of 2000 and what is this, 12 Lotus? I'm not that good with mid, like noughties or the 10s F1 cars. But I'd be able to point out the 93 footwork arrows any damn day. Welcome to Tuan, and yeah, it is indeed one of those days. For Vanquish Esports, another newcomer in this race today, I think maybe standing in for Nick, but it is American driver Robert, who I am not familiar with, so interesting to see what kind of pace he delivers. Of course, the VLX regular Pinkery is here as well. As mentioned before, Joni for TX3 alongside Aura. We've got Tiger Tom for Vanquish. So 3 Vanquish cars on grid tonight. There's Flopsy. Had a bit of problems before there. Why do I see someone hanging in? Oh, that's because it's oh, it's the runoff area. Oh, it's down there. Okay. As you see in the mini, I was concerned about the minimap. Sometimes it's when it's bugging out, it shows people out in the middle of the track and stuff. So I was a little afraid there. The one-handed killer. Race Royce is out driving as well. Yeah, Consta, it's not good when the commentators are on top of race organizers. Is that so? Why did Race Royce leave now? Oh my lord. That's not good, I get a feeling. So, thanks for being patient with us here tonight. We hope to get things running as soon as possible. And when we do, fingers crossed that they will be smooth runnings indeed. Let's not hope for too much of a kerfuffle indeed. But at least GT Sport has blessed us with these scenic views that can be brought to life with a bit of fiddling about. For your enjoyment, I think that evening time in Interlagos with the pink sky, very pretty indeed. And it really shows off just how good looking GT Sport is. You can say a lot about it, but damn, it looks fine indeed. That's nice to see. Hey Felix, good to have you along. We're just waiting the start of the qualifying session more or less now, as we're suffering a bit of lobby issues. So yeah. For those who joined in the last couple of minutes, welcome to you. A good evening. Nice to have you along. And I think we're in for some really good racing tonight, as we've been the previous 3 rounds of this series. Once we get racing underway, I'm sure it's going to be hot. Now it's the test of patience. The long wait that will prove it all worth when we get the stuff underway. So question is who exactly we're waiting for now. I think we should be all in, but I'm not exactly sure of that. Hey Uche, by the way, good to have you along. Oh, Race Royce is back now, so and we see some crossed fingers out there for the stability of our lobby here. And as I say that, would you look at that countdown? Qualifying has begun. And mind you, it is not a long session at all. 5 minutes of qualifying here, of course, Interlagos. We are looking at lap times around, well, I'd say here in qualifying, probably in the 17s, maybe even the 116s. These cars are pretty swift indeed. Hey Nick, good to have you along. Single, welcome in chat. And hopefully we won't have what I'm afraid I'm seeing in that someone or someone I'm not seeing here, Flopsy. Oh, that does not bode well for I'm afraid for Flopsy's continued connection to the server as he suffers the pit bug here at the start of qualifying. I think the message from race direction being that any further connection issues have to be dealt with during the feature race or the sprint race, I'm sorry, and then the drivers would be able to rejoin the field, albeit probably at the back, perhaps even at the front, I don't know, but rejoin for the feature race, which cross fingers for Flopsy in this situation. Now, Aura leading them off here. Finn with a bit of an advantage in terms of slipstreaming here through the Senna S's that makes up the first 3 corners of Interlagos here. Turn 4. Such a difficult one. 90 degrees to the left, and then a very slippery bit of AstroTurf there. The curb of death, indeed. Be interesting, Chris mentioning on his Twitter that he would get his ass whooped tonight. I'm not so sure about that. We're gonna have to see as the first couple of cars round the final corner. As they come on to the first of what is ultimately going to be 3 qualifying laps. And Flopsy realizing the bug. Or wasn't that? What? Oh, we already had the outlaps over with, of course. It happens sometimes, we're just 3 minutes behind. Is that Olympic on pole position provisionally? Quinton for Euromaster in the pits right now. I wonder what happened to him here. Robert for Vanquish. Oh, that could be Robert Kubica in 3rd place. Aura 4th. Race Royce for R70 in 5th place. Joni's in 6th. Finn is 7th provisionally. And Pinkery in 8th. So it's not looking too good for Chris. The championship leader doesn't look to have had the best of laps on his first flyer. 2.2 seconds off the pace of Olympic, who, by the way, put in a 1:16 dead. So we could be looking at this just maybe not being the strongest of tracks for Chris. And it could be something with the twisty middle section being difficult on a pad here. Aura goes fastest, 1:15.989. My word, that is an absolute flyer. 2300ths of a second faster than Olympic. Still Quinton in 3rd. And can we see some tombstones for Flopsy? Is there a tombstone? I think there is a tombstone emoji. We might as well find it if there is one. Or a PC emoji indeed. Some good lap times coming in here. Cooper for TX3. The newly crowned ESGT GT4 champion. 3/10 off, so relatively close there. Provisionally on row 2. Chris has indeed improved and is now 0.8 of a second off, but it's really close in the midfield as well, with around half a tenth of a second between Chris and Tiger Tom. Currently, Joni is down in 9th place, so it's a bit of a different running order here, as Chris is on a purple sector. And we've had the checkered flag, so this is going to be the final lap. And if he's chosen to do it, well, it's the perfect time indeed. I think he's going to challenge Aura's time. It's all about that vital run to the line. And what's it going to be? Chris goes on pole position by a tenth of a second. And the Dane hiding it till the last seconds of qualifying. Still a couple of drivers yet to cross the line, as Olympic puts in a good lap time as well. That's a 10th down, a 16 flat for him as well. Was that the time from before? That's a good question. But at the moment, as the final car crosses the line, it's an improvement for Quentin, who goes on pole position in the very last of seconds by less than a tenth of a second. Quentin for Euromaster Esports, and the Belgian is on pole. It's gonna be Chris joining him on row 1 for VLX. Row 2 consisting, as you see when the graphics pop up, right about there it is, Aura, Olympic, and then Joni, Cooper, Robert, Race Royce, Tiger Tom, Finn, Pinkery. That is the running order here for the sprint race. Oh, was that an impressive lap, put in so late. Now mind you, of course, they're all lit now, the lights, and when they go green, they're off. It's go, go, go indeed, and Quentin does not get away well. Chris flies on past the uphill start, so difficult to deal with, and into turn 1 they go, the center S's. It's Olympic, it's Quentin 2 wide, and they're 3 wide further down in the pack, and Quentin is defending so far, still 2 wide as we go on board with the Belgian here. Ooh, I think the Olympic driver, the VLX driver, Olympic, with his nose ahead into turn 4. And there goes Joni as well. What a terrible start indeed for Quentin, and someone slightly off there on the AstroTurf as well. Here is that 2 wide coming out of the center S's. Bit of pushing and shoving, tire to tire. Vettel Verstappen, but no bad incidents whatsoever. Seemed a very clean run. There is the dive from Joni, fair and square. And behind, I think it's Aura going slightly wide, and they're still 2 wide, and they're nuzzling for it here. Quentin is in 6th place now. What a shocking opening lap for the Belgian. And he's still 2 wide with Finn, who nuzzles him wide and just shoves him off to the grass there slightly. A little bit of contact between the two. It has still been, as far as we can see at least, a pretty clean first lap, except I think for Cooper, who was in 6th place, but who have had some kind of incident here. It's entering the middle section of the track, which is, I think it's Quentin a part of that, and they're 3 wide, and Cooper is the one on the receiving end of things. Oh no, he goes way wide there, way onto the grass, keeps it alive, but he's down. Chris leads Olympic. This is something we've seen before. Joni in third, I'm sorry. Oh, and here goes Olympic. He has a big old look up the inside of Chris's car. What an interesting, spicy start indeed. So much action happening. Good look, but no more than that in the end. Top runnings are Chris, Olympic, Joni, Robert, Quentin. That's the top 5 at the moment. So Quentin having hit back so far. And on to lap 3 they come. A coincidence. Here, so it's going to be interesting how the drivers deal with the overtake, and especially how much they use of it here early on as someone goes all the way off. And that's a little bit further down. I think I saw a darkish shade of a car that could have been Tiger Tom. We're gonna have a look here coming into turn 1. Well, that was not Tiger Tom indeed. Or was it? Well, it was. It certainly was Tiger Tom. And he went way off in turn 1 there. Cooper now ahead of him. And the race has seen its second fatality. It's hard to call that a real fatality. It's still Chris. He's trying to build upon the gap to Olympic. And I think that was just a bit of good old-fashioned acting there, downplaying his own chances only to take a commanding position of yet another race. The Dane absolutely flying. Oh, playlister. Not fast enough on that one. Your third, it's Joni. Still Robert in fourth, Quinton fifth, Finn in sixth. The racing Dutch giant that is Race Royce TV in seventh place. Aura 8th for TX3 and Pinkery for VLX in 9th at the moment. Cooper is on the tail. The back end of the field, the TX3 driver had good pace in qualifying, but a very unlucky opening lap. And a good battle here for 5th place. It's Quinton fending off Finn and Race Royce. And let's have a look at the battle for the lead of the race. Chris Olympic, then Joni. That middle section must be, well, let's say challenging to say the least in these cars. On board we are with Robert, the Vanquish Esports driver, in 4th place. And mind you, of course, all these cars are supplied with Toyota engines, because I think that might be down to the difference in how the engine is balanced and how it kind of connects with the rest of the chassis. As the handling differences that are reported to be between the Honda and Toyota engines. We're not going to call them power units here. And for all it's worth, of course, I would have loved to see both engine manufacturers in this, but we want to keep it as fair, as close as possible. This is an esports level series, so we want to level the playing field as much as humanly possible. And of course, we're closing in on halfway distance here in the sprint race. Still VLX 1-2. Yeah, they really should be. I challenge them to run the last couple of races in a Mercedes livery if it is they turn out to be that dominant across the length of the season, because so far they have been absolutely untouchable, and so far today it's kind of the same picture, although Joni, the TX3 German, is just half a second off, and his lap times are consistently matching that of the drivers in front. He's the holder of the fastest lap at the moment with a 1:18.122, so certainly on the pace here. He's got a 2-second gap down to Robert, so no real worries of drivers coming up from behind. He seems to be keeping up with the drivers in front pretty well, and his overtake seems to be clear and green to me as well, so he should still be good on that account. And the virtual Mercedes experience. Yeah, good stuff. That's the 25-point form playlist that we know. Now let's have a look at the lower placed drivers here at the moment. Oh, Tiger Tom has had another incident, because he's now 17 seconds off of Cooper. And so a good candidate for pole position in our reverse grid order feature race. Cooper in 10th, Pinkery 8th, and Aura. Oh, Pinkery 9th, I'm sorry, and Aura in 8th. But those two are seriously close here, as Pinkery does have the run on the inside. And they're gonna go too wide, and they're both ghosting there for a moment, but that's Cooper, I think, gaining the place in the end. Yeah, indeed, Cooper with the run and then across the finish line. Pinkery tries to hold the inside, but Cooper late braking and good skill there, just manages to squeeze in. He does well to gain that position. The American goes up into 9th. And at the head of affairs, Chris has expanded that lead by, well, not a lot, but a little is a lot indeed. Less, I want to say less is more. That's probably not true when it comes to gaps in races. But he is slowly but surely expanding that gap down to Olympic. Mind you, it's not going to be good for Olympic's tires to be too long in the slipstream of Chris's car, as even with the 120% weight, that does seem to minimize the effects of dirty air on the cars. They are still vulnerable to it, and it still does increase the tire wear. For the driver following, of course, it does give a little back here in the straights, but at that point around a second, it becomes less strong, and in recent updates, the slipstream strength, as I understand it, has also been reduced, something that has been called alarm for in a long time. So that's nice to see. The gap, by the way, from Olympic to Joni has risen as well by 0.4 of a second here. That's 0.9 of a second now, so it's stretching out ever so slightly at the front. And here the battle for, well, what is 6th and 7th place still rages on, as Finn carrying a 0.9 of a second penalty. I think he's had a small bit of a corner cut somewhere that could very well be here, as the drivers seem to cut quite a bit of the track, and it's that is basically, to be fair, the racing line. Oh, that's Quinton going a little bit wide. Let's go on board with the Belgian here and check out that particular incident and see. That's from the, I call it carousel-ish turn there, but he made a mistake that so many other drivers have done before him. What do you mean, playlist? We can see the eye of the Tiger Tom right about now. Oh no. Tinted glasses. What a damn shame. So I say that Joni is at least keeping up with Olympic, while Olympic is setting purple first sectors. It's all about having something left of the overtake to use here. Late race Chris still green on his overtake, while Olympic in the red zone, very literally, as you can see on the light flashing over the driver's helmet. So that seems to mean that it yet again is going in the direction of Chris to pick up another win. And usually you would say starting last is pretty much guaranteed that you won't finish first, but such has been the class of the Dane that no guarantees could ever be made here. Race Royce and Aura also seem to be with quite a bit of overtake function left on their cars. Mind you, that gives you that little bit of an extra boost. 25 to 30 horsepower is what they're saying, and that is considerable enough for it to make a big, quite the big difference actually, when really hammering it. So Quinton's taken off here in front of these and looks to be set for 5th place, unless he can catch up to Robert, who's also had a very uneventful race, I want to say, and that's a good thing. It's often the case that the less you see of a driver, well, it can be a really good result in that way still, and unless it's a spectacular drive overtaking the half of the field or whatever, the best way often to drive is to not get too much attention, because it means you've kept it clean, and that is certainly what Roberts has done so far. 5.5 seconds off the race leader is certainly turning out not to be a slouch at all on his debut VSRS race. Hello Swablo, good to have you along. Welcome too, mate. So the penultimate lap is coming to an end, and that means Chris, now leading by 2.2 seconds, is about to start the final one indeed. Look at that lap he put in before, 17.6. Beginning to floor it. Say he hasn't been flooring it all along, but I think it's such an impressive pace he's putting down. And as such, I think the closest cars at the moment is indeed that battle for 6th, 7th, and might even also be 8th place. Finn might have to go defensive on this last lap, because he's all out of overtake, and to what I can see, I think Race Royce does have a bit left. He does. So if the Dutchman can get close enough, especially I'd say coming out of the final corner, if you have a bit of overtake, look at what distance is being gained and time being gained there for Race Royce in the braking zone. Although Finn smooth through the slow section here, and he's able to pull through, carry a little more momentum through the corners. Let's go on board with Race Royce here. Switch the camera the other way, and it's all about getting the exit now for Race Royce, as I don't really think he does that. And it's going to be a fairly long drag as Chris takes the flagger check, whatever that is, the checkered flag. Olympic teammate in second, Joni for TX3 third. It's going to be Robert fourth for Vanquish Esports. Quinton, newly signed for Euromaster Esports, is fifth here. Finn for Vanquish in sixth. Race Royce seventh, and Aura for TX3 in 8th place. And at the bottom, Cooper 9th, Pinkery 10th, and Tiger Tom, of whom we will see the eye as he starts on pole for the feature race. Reverse grid it is. He has not had a good time, I think, in this opening round, and gonna wish for better luck. For better luck, indeed. But oh well, time to congratulate my fellow countrymen yet again. And indeed, Felix, disgusting. I think that's a pretty good term. Let's just have a look at the standings, how they were coming into today, and just what that's gonna mean. It's gonna be even more of a lead, unless, of course, Chris isn't able to gain a single position in the feature race. It would be surprised to find, since until now the Dane has had an upper hand in terms of both pace and strategy, and that certainly has worked wonders for him. But a really good race, a really good sprint race yet again. And I feel like the dust did, for once, settle. Not a lot, just a little. We're gonna have the feature race on in not too long. And as you can see on your screen, tires times 5. Fuel times 4. 30 laps of racing, so a relatively short feature race, although it has to be said that that amount of tire wear and a track that is tough on the tires, a combination of long, slow corners, but also some pretty fast flowing corners in the first sector. It's going to be interesting what kind of strategies we're going to see. Of course, we could have a strategy quiz. The winning strategy will be... We'll have like quiz show music. I should have found some quiz show music, of course. I'll do that for next week. We'll get quiz show music, and we'll have strategy quiz, and we will have an extra 25 chat points. We really need to get those chat points going as well. Would be so much fun indeed. Lopsy is gonna have an attempt at this race. It's gonna be good to see here. Of course, we're just having the grid set at the moment, so just a second. It will not be long before we get the feature race underway. Oh, playlister with a nice bit of digging there. I didn't see that before, but 3 new American recruits. It seems like over there is the new market for everyone to go and recruit, and the European esports teams are really trying to get their foot in the door, so to say. CX3 did it like Jehovah's Witnesses usually do, and got some of the very, very top American drivers in Cooper, amongst a couple of others in there. So that's an interesting market to see. And I feel like GT Sport and the league side of things also having gotten more and more and more global in a way that is indeed very, very, very nice. We can also do another quiz here. We can do Guess the Bug, where I leave you behind the waiting screen. I spectate, and you, and like with the sound, with the in-game sound, you'll identify the bug. Actually, I think we solved the bug that were before, so no need to play Guess the Bug. You have that in mind for another good time. After it's gone. Oh, and just as I thought, oh, I thought we were over it, but certainly it looks like we aren't. And it's I feel like it's getting fairly frustrating. Oh well, playlister, feel free to join in. Are you able to? Could go for. We're on the HTRG Discord. Yes. Let's just do race radio because that's an open one. I'm in here now, so feel free to join me. Let's see if you can convert chat points to booth points. That's gonna be another kind of championship indeed. And by the way, on behalf of us here on the channel and the organizing crew, but Playlister, aren't you in the HTRG Discord? The race radio should be an open channel for you to hop in the HTRG Discord. So, yeah. But I was apologizing for the relatively poor state of GT Sports lobby system and private lobbies. The entire aspect of league racing seems to be that it's just such a drag. Every time we try and do something, we have to deal with the same issues. And while some things are getting fixed and they're busy trying to figure out how to make a penalty system, these things are never getting looked at. It's not to be a downer. I don't want to be a downer. I want to be an upper. But it makes me a bit of a downer, to be honest. I think it's such a shame. Oh, Playlister's getting the mic. Suspense. But indeed, it is very much true. So I think those that organize leagues by now... Oh, what a tough time. I wish they had modeled I wish they had modeled like an engine breakage for drivers disconnecting. You just see the engine going up in smoke and the car stopping at the side of the road. They could have done that. That would have been. Let me just say, I would have done that. Got a bit of pictures here from practice instead of just those. Well, the scenic pictures are good looking as they are. I'd rather look at actual cars going around the actual track. And it has to be said that Interlagos, certainly one of these tracks where GT Sports camera work come in the very best. I think my personal favorite in the end has to be Spa, which just looks amazing. The camera setting is so good and very close to what you see in real life. But what we see here at Interlagos certainly is not bad. Oh, single filer. Can't speak in that channel. Okay, so single, if you hop in the VSRS booth, then or a playlister, I see you have broadcaster privileges now. It should be all right. We should make it work. Make it work. Oh, I see ya. But I don't hear you. Why is that? Good question. Actually, it's that. It's a very good point. For now? And what about now? No. But I see you speaking in there, so it's a bit strange. Well. Everything is working perfectly today. Just about perfectly, isn't it? So hopefully it will not be long before we get these 30 laps of racing, the actual feature race, the main event of tonight, underway. I feel like we've been waiting for a minute or two too much. Sota, that is a question I was hoping someone was gonna ask. What about tomorrow? I feel like tomorrow is as good a day as any other day to go rallying. We could also do it tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Not Saturday. There's the 24 hours of Nürburgring in iRacing, which is something we're doing, of course, in with the Simpact team in the Cayman GT4. It's gonna be most probably death, and if not, I don't know what, but most probably death. We'll see. But why not just make that deal now? Tomorrow.
Hopefully this works. Hello?
Oh, playlister. There you are.
Yes, here I am.
Hey. Just gonna check your
At least something worked.
Finally something works.
Yeah.
That gotta give us some encouragement for the coming couple of minutes here. I was about to say the coming 30 minutes of racing. We should have all the drivers seeing. Mediums are mandatory.
Yeah, I'm using this other mic because my headset mic isn't working for.
Oh, that's strange. So I'm just gonna. Just a second. So I'm gonna, because right now you're watching the stream, if I'm not completely mistaken, right? Oh, you muted yourself. Oh, where's Aura's Oh, it's hiding. Look at that camouflage towards the tire wall with the understeer, the red and stuff. I can hardly even see his car.
Oh, there's the stream.
Yeah, I put up the Discord stream so you can watch. Flopsy's coming back in, hoping this time it is the time. The time. The time of success. And speaking of success, what a race for Chris, who's parked the car just after turn 5. On the AstroTurf. Oh, picks it up. Bit of wheel spin there. Ah, wonderfully chaotic. Waiting time in league racing. Oh. As race direction tells us that we're starting, and we do have the race starting counter here. So feature race getting underway now, ladies and gents. 30 laps, 5 times tires, 4 times fuel. So certainly some interesting strategical prospects in this.
It'll be exciting what Tiger Tom can do on pole. Is he on pole? If I remember correctly.
Why is Chris on?
Okay. What?
So, what is he gonna do? Is he? Yeah, we're gonna restart it, of course, because the grid order is wrong. So,
Yeah, it got me confused as to why Chris was on pole position.
yeah, that's completely understandable because it wouldn't make any sense, really. I was just about to say, if he backs up to the right of the entire field and just takes last place as the other drivers start, that would have been the most hilarious thing in the world.
Well, speaking of pole position, it'll be interesting as to what Tiger Tom will be doing on pole position for this reverse grid.
How long will he be able to defend that? He needs a bit more luck than he had in the sprint race, but seen stranger things.
Yeah, that was quite unfortunate as to what happened in the sprint race for Tiger Tom.
That's very much true. Sparks, Chris is a Padawan. Although that's probably not the right thing to call it, because he's more like a pad master. It's impressive nonetheless, though. So this is gonna be the umpteenth time. The umpteenth time we're gonna have it squared by 3 many times. We'll try to get this race underway, but as they say, umpteenth time's the charm. So is Chris one of those younglings as well? I thought he was. To the best of my knowledge, isn't Chris studying journalism? Not that much of a youngling thing to do. He's not like Finn youngling, like a 15 youngling. Oh! Another go. We're having another start after hopefully getting the cars lined up correctly this time. Hey, PT Lobo. Good to have you along. And fingers crossed, this time it's action time. And indeed, this time around, it's Tiger Tom Pinkery, Cooper, Aura, Race Royce, Finn, Quinton, Robert, Joni, Olympic, Chris, and Flopsy rejoining here.
That was a good.
For the second one, correct grid indeed. And watch the red 5 lights. And they're off. That was somewhat of a quicker period than the first time around. And Tiger Tom gets a very good start indeed. Cooper and
on the inside maybe? No.
Cooper, Aura, too wide. And I think quite a bit of RG barging there at the back of affairs here. As Flopsy is too wide with Chris, and I think he actually gets past. So not the perfect start from the Dane here.
A little bit of a mess in the turn 4.
Oh! Just as we went back to see the start, there was a bit of an argy-bargy that was between Flopsy and Chris. Maybe Chris actually holding back in that situation, because there certainly was contact, as you mentioned. Playlister was out of turn 4, turn 5. That was actually.
Was that Flopsy?
Oh my word! I think that was. I think that was. Just gets loose on the braking, picks off the gravel, and slides into the tires. And all the while, Tiger Tom leading by a second now. Gonna force Pinkery to go on the overtake, and probably has to do so to defend against Aura, who is a danger man, I think, for this race, given his regular pace.
On the Senna S is Pinkery alongside Aura. Oh, just behind them is Cooper. He might be trying something here.
Cooper, a well-known opportunist in these situations here, so wouldn't be surprised to see him try and pull something off here. But that's a very long 2-wide battle between Aura and Pinkery. I think Aura is going to come out victorious. Cooper might have a look. Aura, well knowing the... that's Pinkery, of course, shutting the door. That was
the rear end, Cooper.
Huge leg spike, though. Or was that a tap? A bit of a dumbfoundedness there. I think Aura had a huge leg spike there for a moment. In here, I'm not sure we could see it again. Yeah, that's certainly a leg spike. All the while, Tiger Tom building on the advantage.
Yeah, we're really seeing the eye of the tiger.
We are. Cue Rocky. And I bet you Tiger Tom's in his car at the moment. Oh, God. Am I taking me out first? But you can't take me out them all. Playing Eurobeat underneath this, I think that makes for interesting viewing, Ethan. And I think if it wasn't such a, shall we call it a divider of taste, I might even have played some Eurobeat on here. But it is indeed a divider of taste. So Race Royce is in 8th, Joni 9th, Olympic in 10th place, and further down here Chris could get past on Flopsy, trying to catch up to teammate Olympic. Mind you, the Spicy Boys are going to be fighting it out here at the back, and they might just be losing out on enough time to put them at some serious kind of disadvantage here. Look at this, 10.5 seconds at the end of lap 3.
In the pits now is Quinton.
Yeah, he's getting the mandatory mediums over with onto the softs, ready to charge. And of course, on the wing of Quinton, who else but Jerry, the IGTL duck. rising, a duck really rising in prominence, and looking to reach the levels of. How can I always forget the name of the GT cat, like Lister? Do you remember? It's Jenkins. Jenkins, the GT cat. You ever heard about that? I'll take your silence as a no. Jimmy, there has been announcements. Usually announcements is something you tune in early days for. Although I haven't announced the announcement. But I did announce it. And I'm so stoked. I'm so hyped. So Tiger Tom, Aura, Cooper, Pinkery, and Robert, the top 5 running order. Jenkins indeed! The GT cat. Brilliant. Finn 6th, Joni 7th, Olympic in 8th. So Olympic actually made up quite a bit of positions here over the last lap, and he's charging at the moment. Look at this.
Yeah, sorry about that. There was a bit of network traffic and I just had to...
Well, that's what happens here. So, watching Chris, 10th place, trying to get past Race Royce, and certainly not an easy task whatsoever up ahead. It is Olympic battling the Vanquish Esports car of... Oh, that's the T3 car of Joni, of course. Seemed a little darkish green to me. And Olympic is passed, so... The championship battle.
I'm gonna get in the lobby. Stream isn't at
Oh,
its
well.
best.
Well, then the lobby is gonna be a better option.
Yeah, hopefully.
Indeed.
Yeah, as you said, nothing is working today.
Really, nothing is really working today. It's a bit of a shame. But I guess we are living with it like any other day we are. It's lap 6 of 30 here. We are 5th into the race. Tiger Tom is leading, but the lead has been diminishing now for a number of laps. Seems to be good on his overtake, and it's of course always a good position to be in for the opening couple of laps there. With Aura in 2nd still, Cooper 3rd, Pinkery 4th, and Robert in 5th.
It's a pretty close top 3 here.
It's a very close.
I think Aura might be closing in a little.
Aura is not closing in a little. He is flying up on Tiger Tom.
I can see it now.
He is absolutely hammering up. He's closed up more than half a second on this lap alone. And Cooper
Maybe he
seems
can
to
use
be
the
following
overtake
along.
on the pit straight or just keep the position to himself.
Let's see here. He goes for an early look here. I think, if anything, he might be trying to line it up. Down at turn 4. I think he's a bit too far back for that to really work out. As you see, there's a bit of a gap here to Pinkery and then Robert, who's really trying to get past the VLX driver here. And Olympics up into 6th place. Joni 7th. Chris up into 8th place as well. And so the flight up through the field has been swift and rather unnoticed. I feel that went up the order relatively silently there. Finn in 10th at the moment. Did he just pit in? No.
Well, just looking at this battle between Pinkery and Robert. Robert is really close to the rear end of Pinkery. He might be trying something here.
And swiftly on board we go with Robert. Have a look here. He's in the final sector now. Final corner onto the back straight. This is going to be a very good opportunity. But look at the exit there from Pinkery. Gets a flying one indeed. Is it going to be enough? As you see Robert gaining very quickly. And I don't think he'll be afraid to deploy his overtake to get this one done with.
On the inside line, Robert into turn 1. And he's past... I
think he'll get that done indeed. Massive overspeed and no chance of defending that for Pinkery, and this is really a thing at Interlagos, that back straight being so long that you can find yourself in a awful lot of trouble.
It's so extremely useful, that straight sometimes.
Chris on a good pace here. Purple sector 1. Joni still defending from... Oh, I'm sorry, that was of course not Chris, that was Olympic, but Chris...
I'm not sure if we caught this, but Aura is now in the race lead.
Oh, Aura's got into the lead as well. And I think
Cooper
that was up...
is on the rear end of Tiger Tom.
He's really trying to rocky his way home in second, but it's gonna be a long way home for it. And here goes Cooper.
Olympic behind his teammate Pinkeray. Okay, Olympic got really wide off of there. But Pinkeray went even wider in the exit of Jinsao, I believe it is. No, because Jinsao is... Anyway, Olympic is now past Pinkeray.
He certainly is, and we're having a look at it here. The two teammates.
With Johnny alongside Pinkeray. He might be trying something in turn 1, maybe against Olympic.
He misses the...
Double overtake, maybe.
Turning point there. Oh, that's some spicy stuff going on at the moment. And I think Chris could be the one who takes advantage of it. He gets a good run on Pinkery. He has a good run on Olympic as well. Here it's just 0.2 of a second coming down towards turn 4. What will it be? No, Olympic, of course, also with the slipstream of Joni up ahead. That helps him big time in this situation. You can see, oh, very poised there on the exit of turn 4. And now the battle is on between the two championship contenders, sitting 6th and 7th. It's Aura leading, Cooper 2nd, so double whammy for TX3 at the moment at the head of affairs. Vanquish 3rd with Tiger Tom.
Oh, I didn't see that. Cooper is in 2nd.
Yeah, Cooper snuck on through onto the back straight. There was really no defending that.
And if you guys watched yesterday, he did win the ESGT GT4 championship yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if he carried the momentum into round 4.
Olympic has already been to the pits, I'm being told.
Yeah, he's on those
from
mediums.
Felix here. That is absolutely impressive.
Pinkeray, I think maybe switching to the medium.
Could be. Fun fact, Tiger Tom uses weak ABS. Spicy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be daring enough to use that.
On board we are with Olympic, the VLX driver, 2nd in the standing, 6th in this race at the moment, and on a charge. So we are 1/3 of the way through this race. So any potential two-stoppers, now is the time, although I would be surprised to see any straight on two-stoppers because of those mandatory mediums that the drivers are trying to run for as short time as possible.
Yeah.
Oh,
Johnny, I think he got a really sketchy exit off.
Yeah, he certainly
He's using
did.
his
So did
overtake
Robert.
now on Robert.
Robert got... I don't know what happened to Robert there because that looked...
Olympic goes past Robert as well. Oh, on the outside, on the sun acid.
We're going to do an immediate rewatch here. Look at Olympic. Sending it, and he's... but he's going to be vulnerable down towards turn 4, I feel like. And he's going...
defending the inside.
He's all
Robert
defensive.
Trying some...
Double 2 wide here. Chris onto the AstroTurf. And he's not going to keep that position, but he is going to have the inside of Robert. Olympic is holding on to it. Chris is carving his way through as well. Good move from the Dane to move on up into 6th place. Now between Olympic and Chris sits Joni, the TX3 driver. It's Aura and
Olympic
Cooper
has
up
been
ahead.
on a charge.
Absolutely, indeed. He has been flying along here. He's just 4.6 seconds down on the leader. Mind you,
And
when we checked in earlier, I'm just sorry, but I'm just going to say, not too long ago, Olympic was down by 10 seconds. on the leaders. But could it be because they pitted in early? I think we're gonna do something that I don't do that often. I'm going to...
Oh, and Olympic already making a charge on Tiger Tom. He went from 1 second down to 5 tenths. Oh, 4 tenths already. He might be trying something here in the back straight. He's 3 tenths behind Tiger Tom. Now he's using his over... Oh, okay, he did.
So on board here
Olympic
with the Tiger
on
here
the
is
inside.
Olympic with a... Oh! A nudgy move there. Tiger Tom overtaken, whether he likes it or not. I get the feeling.
This is some exciting stuff from the Dutchman.
Very much so. Good stuff indeed. Let's see it from another point of view here. There comes the dive in, and he just about puts his car on the inside, but it's a very slight contact between the two, and they very much so both stay on track. Now Tiger Tom under pressure from Joni. And Joni is closer than close at the moment. Of course, Chris pitting in at this time, meaning that he's... Oh, that's a bad exit from Tiger Tom indeed, and that's going to cost him the position, I think. Although he's going to be very close to Joni, so slipstream's going to be massive here, and Tiger Tom goes into the pit. So does Olympics in as well. Olympics in as well. I just saw that Chris on his second lap has set a 1:26. Wouldn't be surprised to find that he actually started on the mediums, went down to the softs there on the second lap, and would perhaps be able to stay there. I mean, tires only, that would equate to something in the vicinity of a 1:26 or around that, if I'm not completely mistaken.
Yeah.
That's the danger of replays, Soda. There might be more stuff happening while you watch him. That's something I'm well familiar with indeed. Look at this TX3 1-2-3 at the moment.
1-2-3.
That is definitely something to break the monotony of all the VLX leading, although I have a feeling that at less than half the race distance for this race at the moment, no conclusions can really be drawn, because the VLX boys has indeed been flying along.
Maybe they might be talking among themselves the ideal strategy.
It's a good question. It is a good question of just what to do here. Cooper pits in, Aura pits in, Joni pits in.
All 3 of the TX3 guys went in. I think Johnny might be in a different strategy. He's on the medium.
Johnny came in on the mediums. He's going to be leaving on the softs. Pinkery comes in with the mediums as well, ready to get rid of him.
Race Royce in the lead.
Yeah, Race Royce by just under 2 seconds to Quinton. Roberts now in third. Chris up into fourth. And Chris, somewhere, somehow getting past Olympic. And you have to wonder if that was a product
Maybe
of the undercut,
team thing,
or
maybe
just the
it was
undercut.
a multi-21. Who knows?
I have not seen anything that would indicate that the VLX boys are running any sort of team orders really. And saying that, perhaps we've seen a couple of situations where they've worked together, but it could be a bit of multi-21 indeed. In my best Danish English accent, that would be multi-21 Olympic, multi-21, but I would not assume Chris to be such a bad English speaker. We call it Valby English, he'll laugh about that. Okay, we have Race Royce pitting in, we have Robert in as well, from pretty good positions, but low on fuel. Race Royce has yet to get his mediums out the way, I think. Robert pitting on the medium, so he'll be on hards. I'm sorry, on softs, of course. Little Dirten isn't there.
Yeah, Quinton, I think, might get into the pits sometime the next few laps, so Aura right now has the net race lead.
Yeah, that must be the situation indeed here, Quinton. But Quinton's pretty good on fuel. He's still 25% left in his tank. The tires, though, looking worn. Here is Aura, second place, leading. Oh, Olympic and Chris separated by less than a car length.
Only
at the
2
moment there.
tenths.
Yeah, they are so close here and they almost make contact into the middle section. Wang cam time it is here. And Cooper trying to tag along for the ride. Impressive that they just disposed of Cooper and Joni somehow, the two VLX drivers. Yeah. Without hardly even trying. I think they did it on the pit stop round, even when the 3 TX3 drivers came in. It seems to me only Aura came out in front.
Look at that gap. Chris is closing in on Aura.
Absolutely. He's flying
up.
From
7 tenths down to 2 tenths, maybe trying something. He's gonna back.
He had a big old look here. Carrying a huge amount of overspeed. And really thinking about it big time. Aura shuts the door when he realizes it.
Aura in the turn 4.
Defending it.
Chris is not backing on the outside.
Chris on the outside! Chris on the outside, too wide. They are shoved onto the... And here comes Olympic. He's going to take advantage.
Olympic tries his turn.
Olympic get past Chris.
Aura's going to keep the lead.
Aura keeps the position.
Aura's going to keep second.
Aura keeps the position, but Olympic with a very, very...
Whoa, what?
Oh, what happened there?
He just went wide.
And Olympic, I think they might have made a bit of contact there because Olympic seemed to me that he waited. Let's have another look here. So Olympic, oh, that's a huge lag spike to me because on my screen that they did not make contact.
Yeah, on my screen, all I saw was Aura going off track. Not really sure what happened there.
So Felix, what you're saying is that Chris's English is at least as good as mine? We Danes are known for being pretty good English speakers.
Aura on the inside of Olympic. Olympic goes wide.
Indeed he does. And he does so big time.
He might be trying something here, wanting to go down the inside.
As we're on board here, he just touches the grass. You know what? Does well to not acknowledge that he's not going to make the turn, just go straight on instead of spinning around. Pretty good choice there from Olympic to keep it running. Of course, it does cost a bit of time. And now Chris is in the lead. Cooper second, Aura in third, Joni fifth. And then Olympic in sixth place. So costly couple of corners there for Olympic. And that's left him pretty far behind Chris in the situation. Quentin is still running at the lead of affairs though, and he will have fresher tires. So the advantage at the moment is indeed diminishing.
Yeah, the lead might be going on Chris's favor. Quentin may have to pit this lap.
Wouldn't be surprised because I think he's bleeding time at the moment. Chris from the old tires is, or not Chris. I'm really messing the names about today, but I'm of course Quentin I'm talking about. But he is in here. Oh, and talking about being low on fuel.
Now it looks like a VLX TX3 sandwich from 1 to 5th.
That it does. Watching, it's going to be a pretty long pit stop for Quentin, who exits with close to a full tank of fuel.
I'm not sure if you noticed, but through the Senna S's, Olympic gained 4 tenths on Joni. It's down to 6 tenths now. Oh my god.
I think he got a bit of a... Might have carried a bit too much speed into turn 4 there, and that because he lost a bit of time coming out of it, but he really sensed it. He's really attacking the corners at the moment. Olympics surely with a lot of stuff and a lot of ground to make up. Chris, as we're heading towards the final 10 laps of this race, is in a very, very familiar position. Yet again, as Single Filer duly mentions in chat, he is licking his fingers right about now, especially, and I think he'll be hoping that Cooper, Aura, and Joni somewhere in the back of his Danish
mind. Teammate Joni on the inside for turn 1, and they're going to switch position. Looking at these overtake gauges, Aura hasn't used very much.
Well, that's interesting knowledge as we see that overtake from Joni. Aura? I should say he's trying to save his overtake for the final third of the race.
Yeah. Aura has used less than a quarter.
Less than a quarter? That's surprisingly little that he's used. Looking at Olympic, he's in the final.
Olympic is less than a quarter now.
Yeah.
Of overtake left.
So that's gonna make it hard for him to at least get just fly away from Olympic, or from it's gonna be tough for Olympic to get past if he doesn't use his overtake really well indeed. Lapsi's in 6th place for THR. Tiger Tom 7th, Finn in 8th. Both of those drivers, of course, representing Vanquish Esports. And how is Chris' overtake situation looking? He seems to have...
He has more than half.
Yeah, so he seems to be on a strategy that sees him having used less. He's got more than half left for a third of the race to go. So Olympics in the pits here.
That's in the pits.
Olympic and Flapsy. I have to wonder, is Chris counting on another pit stop here? Are they all counting on another pit stop here? That could very well be, mind you, tires times 5. It's going to be tough to keep him running at a competitive pace for that long.
I'm a little interested as to what they're pulling off here, but then again, I'm not the greatest in strategy, so...
No, me neither. I find myself dumbfounded so many times when I see people pull off something crazy and like, how did they come up with this thing? And this, of course, the thing about testing it and timing it and seeing what is fastest, and that is usually... But the thing is that once you get actual racing into it, that complicates the calculations so much that getting it right,
absolutely.
It's anything but easy. So when they get it right time and time again, that is surely impressive here. Finn now in 5th.
I think Chris may have to go box again because his fuel gauge is pretty low.
It's an interesting thought here. The question is if Cooper, Joni, and Aura, the TX3 drivers, what is your take, playlister? Will they be able to go all the way to the line?
I'm not completely sure.
But their stops might be shorter. Oh, they're not. I don't think they are. It's fuel times 4, a third of a tank full. They're not going to be able to do 10 laps.
Right now, I think it's all to play for, really.
It's still pretty open, but as we say that, Chris is making big gains right about now. His pace is
getting past Tiger Tom.
Oh, that's a good one to watch here. Oh, he sets it around the outside.
Quinton on the outside.
Quinton round the outside, indeed. Very good move here. He gets the run through turn 5, gets his nose ahead, and just commits to it. And I don't think there's much chance for Tiger Tom Quinton with a much faster car. Much overtake left as well, and on a very good pace. And Chris
switching out his tires now. Cooper in the pits.
Chris
Joni and Aura
as well. So all the TX3 drivers choosing to mirror Chris's strategy in terms of tires, but they all have quite a bit more fuel left.
Quinton and Finn might take the race lead here. Oh,
they
Quinton. Yeah.
Oh, will they?
Cooper.
Will they?
Cooper and Chris.
Cooper on the mediums now, I think, as he's leaving the pits.
Oh, Chris got out first.
Chris, yeah. Chris, oh, very close indeed. Oh, and Tiger Tom on the outside here into turn 4. I think Chris is going to take that position.
Tiger Tom goes wide. Cooper takes position.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to watch it from, there it is, from the wang cam of Chris' car here. So, current running order is Finn for a Vanquish Esports, all of a sudden leading it, but we'd expect the young Brit to be pitting again here within the final couple of laps. Quinton 2nd, Chris 3rd, Cooper 4th, Tiger Tom 5th, Joni 6th, Robert for Vanquish Esports is in 7th place, Aura for TX3 in 9th, and I'm just scouting down through the rankings to have a find and have a look at where Olympic is. He's in 10th place at the moment, but he's less than 10 seconds behind the race leader, Finn. So it's impressive to see that after so long here in this race, after half an hour of racing, after several pit stops, strategies really not mirroring each other at all, the field is still this close.
10 seconds after this many laps, the gap among the entire field. That's Oh, Chris behind Quinton. He might be trying something here at the back straight. Oh, on the outside, Chris pulling off an outside overtake. And he does it. He takes the race lead. Oh my goodness.
Jesus Lord, I was about to
using
say
a bit
here.
of overtake. He might. Okay, he's gonna. But Chris, what a move on the outside.
We're gonna have another look at that instantly. On board, Wancam time it is. Sets it up so well.
Cooper has a 1 second penalty.
Oh, he just sneaks on through there. On the outside, brilliant stuff.
Well, I think Chris might be
Fantastic.
gunning for the fastest lap. He just went purple in sector 2, I believe.
So fastest lap at the moment held by Flopsy, a 1:17.648. Chris, of course, right now is a perfect time to do it. He's on, well, he's in a pretty light car. He's on fresh tires, and he's just put in a fastest lap by 37 hundredths of a second.
1:17.611.
Hammering away he is. And he is in a perfect position to even further increase his lead in the championship standings.
And if the field stays like this, he's going to be running away from his teammate Olymp.
Yeah, for the second feature race in a row, for the second week in a row, he's going to make inroads in the gap in the championship standings. Because Olympic has not been able to mirror the performances of his teammate here in the feature races. The coolness of the Dane to just power through no matter the conditions, no matter what kind of position he's left in. As there's a bit of contact there. Is that Robert Aura?
Robert on the inside of his team.
Oh, they both
Tiger Top.
synchronously have a very squirmy moment there on the exit. Look at this. Whoop. That's like
on the inside,
synchronous.
Olympic all the way, already up into 5th position.
How did he
And
gain?
he's run out of overtake.
How did he gain 3 positions, 2 positions? Is it coming from 10th, 7th? But he was 8th at the start of this lap. Brilliant stuff
Robert on the
indeed.
outside using his overtake as much as he can. Might be pulling off an outside move on the turn 1.
He does get the positions. He does get the position, but I think Olympic might have a run back. But Robert, with much more overtake, should be able to defend it on the inside. He is investing, and I think that coming back to Horn or to Olympic, of course, that he doesn't.
Ooh,
Oh, that's
switch.
a very
It's
nice.
gonna be a
That's
switchback.
yeah, beautiful cutback move indeed. Olympic with the racecraft. Look at this, ladies and gents. Top quality stuff from the Dutchman.
I have no idea how he gained that many positions. I wasn't even looking at his car. Like from one moment he's down in 10th and now he's up to 5th. Just like that.
Absolutely beautiful indeed, but now he's got a 4.5 second lead to close on Cooper. Further up, it's Joni, who's right on the tail of Quinton now in the battle for second place. This could be one to go to the line, and I think with 5 laps to go, it is one to go to the line, although they are losing time on Chris, who's now moving away from him here as Joni's having a look up the inside here into turn 1, and Quinton, he defends it well there with the late cut-in and gets a good launch out the corners as well, though Joni's so close that you really can't discount him, and Quinton's gonna go defensive all the way down. Joni's no overtake left, so Quinton might have the advantage there. Quinton does have overtake left, and they go side by side into turn 4.
Keep in mind, Joni does have the fresher tires, so he might have the slightly better advantage.
So it's fresh tires versus overtake. It's grip versus power. An interesting dynamic here. And as you see, it's very apparent what you say, Playlister, because Joni obviously quicker through the middle sector, and just nothing he could do to power through at the end of the straight, even with the slipstream. Cooper 1.6 seconds behind these two in 4th, and as we mentioned before, Olympic is in 5th, but we'd expect the Dutchman to come flying anytime from behind. So you also did mention that he's out of overtake. Final 4 laps of racing it is live now. The laps go by very quickly here. These drivers are lapping.
I can't believe we're already this deep into the race.
Oh, high 19s.
Feels like
sorry?
It's only been 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's gone quickly indeed.
Oh, taking the inside line is Quinton. Joni on the outside into turn 4.
It's Olympic. 5th place there now. 3.5 seconds, so he's shaved over a second of the gap to Cooper up ahead. The question is, will he run out of road? Normally you wouldn't say that 5th is a disaster when starting at the back of the pack, but situation.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see some guys run out of fuel, as what we usually.
Well, it is half the race gone, isn't it? What would it be without people running out of fuel? We've had that so much. I mentioned upon it so many times as well. I just absolutely love the fact that race after race after race after race, we've had drivers running out of fuel.
It's a pattern.
I think it reflects that the drivers are so caught up with the racing that they forget to check their fuel gauges, because the racing is hard and it's tough, and they've got plenty of stuff to think about here, as Robert is having a big old look here, and I think that is, I'm afraid, how did he, they're inside, what?
Oh, bit of lag probably.
That really perplexed me, but for a moment there it looked like Robert committed.
Well, I think Joni tried to make a move, but Quinton is still in second.
It looked to me as for a moment there, it looked like Robert just committed cold-hearted murder indeed. Joni was up. I think he was trying the cutback, but Quinton with the overtake, able to defend it. And through the middle sector, unless Quinton makes a mistake, it's going to be more or less impossible for Joni to get past on this part of the track. All the while, Cooper is closing, Olympic is closing. There's still 2 more laps of racing to do from when they cross the line here.
Ooh, Cooper. On my screen, I just saw Cooper have a really sketchy exit off of there. I don't think he's lost any seconds to Olympic.
It was a bit of a squirm, but he kept it well under control, I think. And look at this, Olympic has shaved another second off. So Olympic is really gaining quickly. All the while, of course, Chris has just flown away. And he is so far ahead by now. The class of the Dane, undeniable, it has to say. Look at this, Quinton on a personal best. He still has to fend off. Joni's all over his rear bumper. Cooper is now appearing in their rearway mirrors. And look who's behind there. It's Olympic. And it all might come together on the final lap still.
Olympic shaved the gap down to 1.8 seconds.
That's
1.6 now.
Still worth mentioning that is without the overtake. And Cooper still having a bit left. The cars in front, namely Quinton, of course, still with plenty of overtake. You'd expect the Belgian to have enough left to really be able to make life very hard for Joni indeed. Because you can see the drivers from behind. They're really coming. They're really closing in. And it's going to be, they're on to the final lap now. So Chris, the very final lap, he's picked up a 0.6 of a second penalty. It's not going to be his biggest worry, is it? He's got more than ample time to get rid of that before the line. His final lap now, it has been a dominant performance yet again. Last week, he said that it was down to a bit of luck, that there was a couple of spinners. This time around, I don't think you can put this performance down to luck. The Dane has been brilliant. Quinton is still defending, and we're going to watch this battle for second place, because it is somewhat more interesting than just seeing a Dane at the majesty of things running around. all on his own. When we have two drivers separated by less than 0.2 of a second, it's certainly time to watch it. And here comes Joni for the inside. Here's turn 6. Oh, this is the place to do it for Joni. They come into the middle sector where we expect him to have the biggest grip. Oh, they're still side by side. Very nice driving from Quinton here on the outside. Oh, he's gonna need to keep it there, Joni, because the inside line for the next one.
Goes a little
to the grass. Whew. And they've kept it side by side all the way through here. Quinton's gonna use the overtake, but I think Joni's got it done this way through. The thing is, though, final corner.
Who's gonna get to the line
Quinton
first?
got the overtake still.
Oh, he's run out of overtake.
Oh, Quinton, that is the deal done, and Joni's gonna take second place with that. What an amazing fight all the way to the line for podium places as TX3 Joni in the Audi Sport livery picks it up. Quinton gets third. Very good drive as well from the newly crowned.
And in that case,
yeah, sorry.
Grip, and in that case, Grip wins over Power.
Grip has been Grip defeated Power. Yeah, indeed.
And I think Quinton ran out of overtake in there.
Let's just see. I think we have this send again. There it is. So look. Oh no, the timer ran out. For okay, god damn it. But god damn it. But anyway. What an amazing race. Yet again, Chris flying up through
and what is that? 6 races in a row now? Or is it
I think it's he won the interesting. He won the feature race at round 1. Since then, he's won every single race there's been. So that makes it
he's been,
rounds 2 races at rounds. So that's actually, I think it's 7 races if you count them all he's had. Because we've had at the end here of round 4, had 8 races. And it's 7 out of 8 for Chris. That's mind-boggling. How you can be.
That's amazing. He's been the class of the field this season. Really
yeah. He's been there to teach the rest of the field a lesson so far. As we're at the halfway point of the season. What a half of a season it's been. I think we've had such good racing. Yet again today, no disappointment whatsoever. I was alone until I was suddenly joined by, like, kind of out of the blue by you, Playlister. Thanks for hopping in. That's been fun. Feel free to hop in another time. That was good stuff.
Yeah, this is actually only my 2nd time commentating ever in a race.
Well, in that case, well done, I have to say. Maybe you should get together with Finn and do some commentating from time to time. He seems to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, maybe if Finn comes back to the booth and for VSRS, I could be like, what's it?
On the pit.
Yeah, the guy's in the pit lane.
Yeah, what is his name? I always forget.
I forgot his name now.
I forgot as well.
It was in the back of my mind earlier this morning.
It's already half the season gone. Look, Felix, incredibly so. Oh, that's the standings. There it is. So, as you can see, we have gotten the 4th round of racing over with. We will be back on Monday yet again with a race from Sardinia, which, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, I think that's going to be an interesting one indeed. Just to mention again, I had an announcement to make earlier. I'm just going to say it again because I'm so happy about it. I have been hired by Simracing World, or Simracing World TV, or just SRW TV, if you will, to commentate on their channel from the world of iRacing, which I am hugely excited about. And
Yeah,
it's a paid gig. It's a paid gig. It's not like I'm gonna be a millionaire whatsoever. But the pay is good, and it's
in
a
the
paid
chat.
gig.
Chat. Why don't we give Dirten some W's?
Some crip walking around my rig, as you can hear from the flexing. as the best you can. I really need to get a webcam, by the way. It's gonna be Ethan. Oh, Ethan, that needs. Oh, I can't. Oh. Okay. Well, anyways, if you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast, despite all of the technical troubles, feel free or do leave us a like. If you feel like it's been the crappiest of crap, let us know. If you want to see more, you know what to do. And if you want to be sure to make the broadcasts when we go live, you can hit the bell icon. I think I'm going to end it for now, for tonight, from me and Playlister in the booth, picking up a solid 18-point performance in the booth. As, of course, I take 25 points every time I play.
Of course. Dirten is the...
No, I'm just kidding. It's been a pleasure having you along, and as I said, feel free to hop in another time, mate. It's been a pleasure having you. It's been a pleasure having you all along. By the way, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I love how you keep us entertained in the booth with your litness in chat. So it's such a
yeah, maybe I'll be back in the next race in the chat giving my 25 points.
The Felix of the Chris of chat. Chris of chat. That said, from me and Playlister, as I mentioned before, thanks for tonight. Until next time here on Half the Race Gone, which will be on, well, weekend time. No, god damn it, I already promised you that. Dirten Rally tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. 24 hours of Nürburgring this weekend from iRacing. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of death, tears, joy, whatever. Join us for it. And of course, next Monday again for the VSRS Grand Prix Series. So, hear from us at Half the Race Gone. Take care. Have fun. And bye-bye.